Hi, Mindful Elevation viewers. Welcome. Welcome to another night where we're going to share an interesting topic. Tonight, we're going to talk about relationship, what it is that we need to know about relationship, how it is to be dating, what are the signs that we have to look for, are there any signs we can look for, how we have to, for example, present ourselves. So all that and more we're going to be talking about with our relationship coach, Mrs. Rachel Shear. Hi, welcome, Mrs. Rachel Shear. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for accepting my invitation. I'm really looking forward to this time where we can be talking about relationship, your book, and all that has to do with it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really happy to be here. And if anybody wants more information about me after this is over, you can go to my website, lovelaughleisure.com, and you'll read all about me and see what I've done. And I have weekly blogs that I put out all about relationships. So enjoy.
Thank you. It definitely will. So you started telling a little bit about yourself already, but is there more that we need to know about Rachel?
Well, yeah. So I've always been passionate about love. It's been my favorite topic. I I love love. I've always focused on relationships that I have with others, and I paid attention to other people when they got together with their boyfriends or girlfriends and they fell in love with each other. And I was just a very inquisitive person. So I asked so many questions to find out how they got together, and then when they had fights, why they broke up. It was just really interesting to me. So I decided to study that, and I got certified to be a relationship coach to help singles find love if they're having trouble with that. And then if they're in a relationship, I help them resolve their conflicts.
Nice. It's nice to see that your passion started from way before already with asking your little questions here and there when people were having relationship challenges. So it's nice to see that you made a profession out of it. So how long you have been a relationship coach already?
I've been a coach for almost 12 years now. I've done other stuff in between, but I've always continued with my passion of relationship coaching. So I actually started out as a sex coach because people have so many issues with sex. It's such a taboo topic. So I got certified in that first, and then all the other certifications came later because it all goes together. Love, sex, intimacy, romance, it's all part of the same thing.
Yes, that is so true because sometimes we're forgetting that relationship is not only saying that you love somebody, but it has all those other aspects that indeed you mentioned as well, and that we're going to be talking about it in a little while. So let me dive into the topic relationship. What can you tell us about that? What is relationship? What we have to think when we're talking about relationship.
Relationships are the basis of life. You need relationships. Everyone needs and craves intimacy and friendship and that connection that you have with others. That's why this past year has been so tough for people, because if you're single and living by yourself, you can't have any in-person relationships. I mean, sometimes people do, but when we were all in quarantine, people were lonely because they had nobody to share their life with. And that's the most important thing. And it's not just romantic relationships. People have a strong bond with their family and friends and coworkers. There's so many different relationships. It's just a part of life, and it's how the world continues.
Yeah, that is true. You just mentioned that especially now because of the situation that we are in, it's a challenge for a lot of people when it comes to relationship. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I can imagine that as couples, you're more in the same space, you have to spend more time. So how that goes?
Yeah, it's challenging for people in all situations. Um, I've heard so many different arguments about who has it worse, couples or singles, because couples are just getting really sick of being around their partner 24/7. They have nowhere to go. They, even if they're angry with each other, they have to be in the same space because they can't leave or go anywhere. So it's been really tough for them. But then at the same time, single people are very lonely because they crave that connection, which I said is lacking. And it's just really tough for them too. So you can argue all you want. The point is everybody has it tough these days.
Yes, indeed, because it's our perception. It's not that because the neighbor has a relationship, they have it better because they're sharing somebody, and me that might be single, I might not have it so bad because I might not have all the problems that they're having. But yes, it's how we perceive our own life and everything. Yes, that brings their own challenges. So when we start with single people, how we coming by the during this time, but let's say before everything happened, how it was for them to be dating. How was it to be dating, to get to know somebody else? How that works?
Well, if people have been dating for many, many years, it gets very draining. It just sucks out all their energy because it takes a lot of time and effort to meet someone that you connect with. And just think about it, like so many people break up, but if you are with someone for a year or two, you spend that year learning everything about your partner, maybe meeting his family and friends and devoting your life to this person. And then if you break up, it's a huge burden because you feel like you're empty for some people because you just were sharing your life with this other person and then poof, it's all gone. So then you have to start all over again and try dating sometimes hundreds of people until you find someone that you connect with again. So it's really tough out there.
Yes, it definitely is. Do you think it's for young people it's even more tougher than for us? I mean, us as in 30, 35, we are a little bit more grounded. We know what we want in life.
Well, the younger people don't know any different. Like people that are in their 30s and 40s, they grew up not having cell phones with them at all times. So dating was a little simpler because you would just receive a phone call and you make plans and you show up for the date. But with social media blowing up, there's so many different methods to get in touch with people. It's so easy to ghost someone and just disappear if you don't want to talk to them anymore. So in a way, it's more complicated, but I wouldn't say it's harder for the young people. That's all they know. Like they know the social media world, so they have like the world at their fingertips. There's so many possibilities to find someone. I think it's actually more difficult for the people that are still single in their 30s and 40s because they feel totally burned out. They've tried both ways and they're still single, still suffering. So they might feel desperate to find that special someone, and it's really tough for them.
Yeah, indeed. And you mentioned the social media, and actually, if we come also talking about the this time that we are in, because you said before it was you pick up the phone, you call, you make an appointment, you go, you meet, you talk, and you get to know. But then now with the social media and on top the time that we are in now, how how is it? Because I don't want to be saying that it's more difficult or not, but how it is when it comes to the dating.
Well, dating is tough. As I said, the past year has been extra challenging because a lot of people are afraid to meet in public. So that's why virtual dates have become the norm. Even if you live 5 minutes away, you might first have a long phone chat or a Zoom date or something like that to get to know each other before taking a risk and meeting in person, because you don't want to just expose yourself to someone unnecessarily and risk getting COVID. So it's been much harder this past year, but dating is just always difficult. It's a really stressful time for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you just give a brief explanation what ghosting is actually?
Yeah, I actually did a webinar on ghosting because it's so popular these days. It means that you're you're talking to someone, and it could happen at any stage of the relationship. It could be just after like a few quick text messages or a few in-person dates, or even after months of a relationship where the person just suddenly turns into a ghost basically and disappears, and you don't know the reason, you don't know what happened. For all you know, the person died. That's all you can tell yourself, because you never hear from the person again. And I've been
Yeah.
ghosted at every stage of dating, just like I said, after a few text messages, after a few phone calls or dates. And once a guy ghosted me after we went out for a year. So it happens, and it really
Mm-hmm.
sucks. And you
Yeah.
have to like take time to get over the relationship and just know that it's not your fault. It's all them. They have
Yeah.
issues, and it's better than
Correct.
not them anymore.
Are there maybe signs that we can pay attention to, that okay, maybe this person is going to ghost you, or um, these are the signs that next time I might not be hearing from this particular person? Are there signs or warnings that we have to pay attention to?
Yeah, if the person has an addiction, then it might be that they ghost you because maybe they went back to drugs or alcohol, whatever they were addicted to, and then they don't have time for you because they're focused on their own health. So that could be
Mm-hmm.
a reason. Or if they have like mental or emotional issues, then again, like they could just have like gone into a shell and they're trying to deal with it themselves, and they don't think about you because they just like depressed or something, where they need to like deal with that on their own, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
need to tell you. Um,
Yeah.
Also, if a person's not over their ex and then they jump into a new relationship, maybe the ex came back into their life and they're afraid to tell you, so they just ghost you so they can get back with their ex. So
Ah.
there are a lot of different reasons. It could be no reason. It could just be that they decided, I don't like you anymore, I'm just going to ghost you. You just never know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But actually, now that we're talking about that topic, how it started, because for me it is that okay, yes, you started talking with this person, you started going all getting to know, but at one point, if you do not want to continue the relationship, or you do not want to continue talking with a person, one way or the other, for me it would have been best if you try to indicate it to the person, tell the person, listen, I thought this was going somewhere, but for me it's not going. Let me try to break it off in an amicable way. When
Yeah,
did we stop doing that?
I don't, some people are nice and they break it off in a kind way. there are also lots of people that don't. They're
Yeah.
too afraid to face the reality, so they just disappear instead.
Yeah. Do you think that have to do with all the influences from the social media, the internet, that everything going fast, 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 easy, easy?
Yes, exactly. Just like the swiping mentality for dating apps where you can just like swipe, swipe, swipe on hundreds of people. You can also just delete someone's number from your phone or delete them on Facebook or wherever you're in contact. And it's very easy to just delete them and then never think about them again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Viewers of Mindful Elevation, we're talking tonight with relationship coach Miss Rachel Shear. If you have any questions or comments, you feel free to post it, and then we will discuss it with Rachel. So, Rachel, when we going back to the actual dating, for meeting a person for the first time, I was going to say face to face, but hey, nowadays Zoom too. But what are the topics that you say is best not to talk about, or it is best to talk about?
On a first date,
Yes.
yeah, so you should not get too deep on a first date. It's like it's a way to get to know each other and have fun and see if your personalities jive. So it should just be like a lighthearted date. You can look online and find a list of fun questions to ask each other, but don't get too deep. Don't get too emotional. Don't talk about your exes. And if you're not feeling up for it because you're still upset about an ex or you had a bad week and you're just like in a really pissed off mood, then just delay the date because it's not fair to the other person. They're putting their best self out there, and if you're in a bad mood, it's just going to ruin the whole experience. So just have fun. Don't be too deep or dark, and don't say anything to scare the other person off, because it's just a way to like, have fun and see if you're compatible.
Yeah. For a person like me, I think if I would have had to go on a first date, a list would have been very handy because I might not know what to talk about, especially if it's somebody strange, and then I might have the tendency to go straight into personal things and then scare off the other person.
Yeah. Well,
What?
it depends on the person. Some people are really outgoing and inquisitive like me.
Mhm.
I'm able to come up with hundreds of questions, but I try to make it a good back and forth where like I ask a question and then he asks a question. We have a nice rapport that way.
Yes, yeah, that is something that I really had some challenges with it. I would have preferred to stay in my house. Then, and even when I used to go out, for me to really start a conversation with somebody that I don't know, nah, not easy.
Yeah, it's not. It's hard sometimes, especially if you're more introverted.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So you, as a relationship coach that work with a single persons, like for example, with me, what would you have done then, or what advice you would have given me besides the list? Because yes, I would have the list, but then to get over that hurdle to start asking the questions.
Well, it's funny that you ask about that because I wrote a book recently called Date to Find Your Soulmate. And here's the book. And in the book, I have 20 chapters where I give advice about how to find your soulmate, like how to date correctly and what you need to do so you can attract the right person. So
Yes.
I tell a lot of great, interesting things, and I actually tell personal stories about mistakes I made. So you can avoid everything I did to find your person the right way, in the fastest way. But the first thing is you have to know yourself completely. Because if you're confused about your identity and who you are and what you want, you're never going to find the right person. So you have to
Mm,
really know yourself and do the deep work, whatever it takes to understand who you are and who you want
yeah.
to be with.
Yeah. It's a good thing you mentioned that, because indeed it is important to know who you are. Like if I would have go there and try to be all bubbly and outgoing, while I'm not like that, it might have come over um a force, or then later on they would have realized that, hey, I'm not so bubbly as I pretended to be the first day, and they might get disappointed.
Yeah.
Yes. it's
Well,
a it's
then it just means that person's not for you because there's someone for everyone.
Yes, yes, that is so true. Do you mind sharing with us one of the mistakes that you did while dating?
Yeah, so there's one chapter in my book I talk about red flags and things
Mm-hmm.
to watch out for. And I tell a story about this guy I went out with where every single thing he did was a red flag, but I kept going on the date. I don't know why. So he did so many things that turned me off and disgusted me, but I still kept on going with the date. I should have just canceled it because it started out bad where he showed up an hour late and he was sick. Like two things that really annoyed me. So I should have just said like, all right, you know what? Forget it. The date is off. But I didn't. So my mistake was continuing on with the date, but I learned my lesson and I got a good story out of it. So
Yes, indeed. Yeah, and I think sometimes too for females, it seems like we will continue, like you just said yourself to, you still went on with the date even though you had some red flags or things that you didn't like. Sometimes I feel like as female we try to tend to put aside those red flags, or the stomach telling us, just for in a way to please the other one, or we don't want to be alone, so let me still continue. And it seems sometimes that for men it's kind of like easier. They're like, nah, I don't feel it, so I'm not even going, or I'm canceling it, I'm not even bothering. Sometimes that's how it feel like.
yeah, you have to completely trust your intuition because if your gut is telling you that something is wrong, then it's probably right. So you have to listen to yourself and the signs your body is giving you.
Yeah, yeah. When we talking about, because your book is also talking about finding your soulmate, um what what actually is a soulmate? Let me start like that first, because after we just say, oh yes, I found my soulmate, and then after a year it's like, nah, didn't work out.
Well, it's possible that that person was your soulmate, but I believe that everyone has a few soulmates in life. So if you're with someone that you're so sure is your soulmate, but then the person like leaves, like dies, or like, you can't be together for some reason, then it doesn't mean it's not your soulmate, just that like the person had a purpose in your life and now that reason is over. So I have some,
Mm-hmm.
even though I date men, I have a good friend, a female, who I believe is one of my soulmates. Like we're so connected. I can like sometimes I have vivid dreams about her that are based on reality. So we're just very connected, and I think she's one of my soulmates. But I don't want to marry her because she's a woman. But everyone has multiple soulmates. So it just means that it's someone that you feel this pull towards. You like you need to be around them. Like there's this strong energy that's like surrounding the two of you, and you just have this really amazing connection, almost like you have known them in another lifetime. It's it's hard to explain, but you'll know it if it happens. It just makes
Mm-hmm.
it a really, really
Yeah,
powerful connection.
yeah, yeah. That is something really nice indeed. And yes, or sometimes you have those flashback kind of things that yes, you met this person before, or you were doing something with that person before, but you can't remember. So yes, once you once you experience it, it's something indeed very nice to experience. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think for everybody it's kind of like different too, huh?
Yes, everyone has a different experience with it. A lot of couples get together just because it's convenient and comfortable, and they know it's not their soulmate, but they're totally happy with that person, and that's great. Like they found
Yeah,
someone that they get along with and want to spend their life with, and that's wonderful for them. There
yeah.
are others though that strive to find that soulmate. They could be searching forever and never find what they really want, or maybe they're one of the few lucky ones to have actually found their soulmate.
Yeah. Would you recommend someone to that is so focused on the soulmate, finding the soulmate? Would you recommend someone to like that to keep on searching for a soulmate?
I wouldn't make any recommendations because I don't want to stop them from finding a compatible partner, because some people might make themselves crazy. Like they keep searching and searching and getting rid of partners that are a great match for them because they
Mm-hmm.
feel like something's off. Like they want perfection, and they
Mm-hmm.
might never find perfection. So I wouldn't urge them either way. I would say, like, do what you think is best in your heart. If you want to keep searching, fine. But if you
Mm-hmm.
want to settle for someone that's compatible and has the same values as you, then do that, and that's also fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's the how you came up with the title "Dating to Find Our Soulmates"? Or what's the
Date
reason that you call it that way?
date to find your soulmate. So I like that it rhymes, and the
Mm-hmm.
whole book is about dating. So I knew date, the word date had to be in the title somehow. And I first considered calling it Date to Find Your Mate because that's shorter and sweeter. But mate does not really cover the essence of the book. So, because the whole point is to keep dating until you find your soulmate. So that's how I came up
Mm-hmm.
with that title. It really spoke to me. It felt like the right name.
Okay, nice. And do you think that when we go back to the young people, do you think that they know what it is to be dating somebody? Or would it be best to, for example, what you mentioned before, to get to know yourself first, know what it is that you want, and then after certain years, then you start dating?
Yeah, so the human brain does not fully develop until the age of 25.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people get married before that age, and then they end up getting divorced because they grow apart, and
Mm-hmm.
then by the time they turn 25, they realize that they're different people and they are not compatible with their partners anymore. So, yeah, it's fine if people under 25 date just to get experience and know what it's like. And it's possible that they will find the right person before that age. But in general, most people do not truly know who they are until that age, because then their brain is developed and they understand what they're looking for in life. So 25 is the age to really start focusing if you desire to get married.
Yeah, yeah. And before that age, from what I have been observing is that they really just want to have someone to say that, look, I am in a relationship as well, or look, I have somebody else as well. But then when you go and ask them, what actually a relationship means to them, they are not able to even indicate one thing what a relationship means to them. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them just date for pleasure, for fun, for boredom, but they might not have the right reason in mind, or it doesn't
Mm.
match the partner.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If
Correct.
someone just out of college, like a 22-year-old tries to date a 40-year-old, they might not be on the same wavelength because maybe the 40-year-old feels ready for marriage and kids, but the 22-year-old just wants to play the field a little bit and explore the world before settling down. So
Yes.
I talk about that in my book too, about how you have to make sure you're in the same phase of life before you settle down with someone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then you might have those ones that saying, yes, but I am mature for my age, so I might be able to date a 40-year-old while I'm a 20-year-old.
Yeah,
So,
it is possible as long as you have the same life goals at this time in your life. Like if you're 20 and you really want to be married and have kids as soon as possible, and that's in alignment with the 40-year-old, then great.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not just about age, it's about what life phase you're in.
Yeah, mm-hmm, yeah, and that is important that we need to learn too, because when we children, we don't really learn about what it is to have a relationship. We might be seeing it from parents, relatives, but then if you have relatives that the relationship unfortunately didn't work out, then there's no discussion about that. There's not like you're getting economic in school, they teaching you, okay, when you want to date or when you want to have a relationship, like you mentioned, you need to be on the same wavelength. You need to have the same life goals. Those kind of thing. They're not teaching young people what it is to be in a relationship, and I think that that might be something to do as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all people of all ages should be taught the proper way to date and the right way to understand what you want in life. Actually, in addition to my just like my coaching and the book that I wrote, I have a coaching program, an 8-week program where I go through all the steps to help you really figure out your limiting beliefs, what you value in life, what's holding you back, what relationship patterns you've had in the past that like mistakes that you don't want to make in the future. And then we go through to attract the right person.
Yeah, nice, nice.
Wow, your dogs are really going wild there.
Oh yes, oh yes. My dogs are they always there. No matter what I do, they're always there. I just in my mind now for no, at this point it is they keeping me company. So what are some dating techniques?
Dating techniques, there's so many. Just like I said for the first date, just make sure you're like you put your best self out there. And it's important to smile, have good eye contact, have make sure your body language shows that you're open and willing to get to know the person better. And you need to like, just like, be relaxed and open. Like don't, even though some people treat dates like an interview, it shouldn't be an interview. It should just be like a relaxed back and forth conversation where you're getting to know each other in a fun, playful way.
Nice, nice. And is there any difference between a man and a woman, or it counts the same for both?
For dating, well, one difference is that it's usually in a man's nature to pursue the woman. So if a woman is too forward and aggressive, it could turn the guy off.
Mm-hmm.
So as a woman, you need to take a step back and let the man lead. Let him take charge, let him make plans, ask you out. It's just the chivalrous thing to do, and it will keep the male female dynamics, like, it will keep them right. Because if you start to take charge and call them all the time and ask them out, then the man will grow lazy and he won't even put any effort into the relationship. And then as the woman, you're going to become the man, and it's just going to ruin the whole connection you have.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that the social media has been changing that? As in
Well,
the chivalry thing that leave the men take the first step.
yes, unfortunately, it has. I don't like it, but men just feel like because there's so many ways to get in touch, sometimes they just grow lazy and they're like, oh, I'll wait until we like meet on in the Zoom group again before I ask her out, or I'll wait until I see her like post something on Facebook that I like, and then I'll respond. So instead of taking initiative, they're just taking a step back and hoping that social media will give them a reason to write to them.
Yeah. But and nowadays because of the internet we have the dating apps. So I think that ties in as well with the swiping left, right, and men sitting and waiting till the female take initiative. Can you tell us a little bit about those dating apps and what it changed in the dynamic of the men and women?
Yeah, the dating apps have kind of ruined dating because I said earlier how people just swipe, swipe, swipe all day long, and they don't base it on anything other than a first impression of the picture. So if you look at the person's face and you're like, nah, 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 you could just like say no to everyone, or the opposite, you could say yes to everyone and try to go
Mhm.
on as many dates as possible. I was actually on a date with a guy once who was like, I noticed that he was swiping, like the app that we had met, he was like swiping on it during the date. So he was trying to get more dates while he was out with me. So it kind of ruined dating because people know that there's so many more possibilities out there. So if the person in front of them is not perfect, then they're thinking, oh, well, there are hundreds of other options. I'll just never see this person again and try these others. So
Yeah.
it's similar to being in a like living in a big city versus small city. You
Mm-hmm.
think that living in a big city, there's so many more options for dating, but it's actually much harder to find someone to end up with because there are so many other options out there. So you might go on lots of dates, but people are a lot less ready to commit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can imagine that that swiping thing, it does play with your self-esteem as well. Because if you are registered on one of those dating apps and you don't get no, how to say it, connection with somebody, no, or nobody clicks on your picture, then it might work negative with your self-esteem as well. While maybe if you would have met that person in let me call it real life, they might have liked you, they might have strike a conversation with you.
Yeah, you're so right. It's true. There actually have been some people that I've swiped left on because I just don't like their picture or what they say. But then I meet them in person and I'm like, wow, like this person is incredible. I can't believe
Yeah.
I never met him before. And then I realized that they were on the dating app that I rejected. So like people don't always put their best self on the dating app. They're just doing it quickly and lazily, so they don't really think about what they're showing to the world, but then it could be a turnoff.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Sometimes I think it's best to just go back to the old days where you had to go to a bar or you had to go out to meet someone and strike a conversation. even though I can imagine with the fast-paced life that we're living now, that those dating apps might work better, and especially with people like me, for example, that don't like to strike conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, dating is really difficult. That's why I wrote this book. I was trying to help people who are struggling out there because it's a jungle.
Yes, it is. It is. do you do you work most with females or women or men when it comes to the dating?
So I work with both. My book is directed towards women because I'm a
Mm-hmm.
woman and I was telling stories from my point of view, teaching what women should or shouldn't do. But some men have also read the book and they learned a lot also because they learned from like the mistakes of other men that I wrote about, so they know what to do and what not to do for themselves. So I work with both men and women. It's a different type of coaching with each of them, depending on their personality and what kind of approach I need to take.
Yeah. Yeah, I can because some time ago there was that movie that they wrote a book for females how to handle with a man. So I guess it's the same as this one, because you give indication about how a female is when it comes to dating. It does help the men and give them pointers as well how to behave when it comes to dating with a female. So yeah, it
Yeah, are
benefits
you
both
talking
of
about?
them.
Yeah, do you mean the movie He's Just Not That Into You? Is
I
that the
think
movie
so.
you're
Yes.
talking about? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That book was written by both a man and a woman, so they were telling both of their perspectives, and it was I love that book. I have it because it's so true. You can tell so easily if a man is not into you or a woman is not into you, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't keep making excuses. It's usually pretty cut and dry. So
Yeah.
if you're wasting your time pining over someone that's not into you, then you're just going to keep waiting for nothing to happen.
Correct. Correct. But again, we don't listen to our instinct. We keep on pushing for it, even though the signs are clearly there.
Yeah.
When it comes to the communication, maybe not so much when it comes to the dating. Maybe it's more for in the relationship. What are some aspects that we have to keep in mind?
So everyone has a different communication style. Communication is key for any successful relationship. If you keep things and secrets to yourself, it's just gonna cause problems in the relationship. So open communication where you reveal who you are and what your desires are, that's really important. And if the person you're with has a different style, you just have to understand their style and come up with some kind of compromise to
Mhm.
what works for both of you. And going along with that, with all the like social media and texting and stuff like that, some people like to text all day long with their partner, while others maybe will send like a quick text message once a week. Like everyone has a different style for that. So if you're not happy with what your partner is doing, you need to speak up and come up with some kind of compromise that works for both of you. Because if you
Yeah.
are in constant communication while the other person is happy just talking once a week, then it's not going to work. And you're
Mm-hmm.
going to get annoyed with each other, and it could be a reason you break up. So you have to talk about it and discuss something that works for both of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's a difficult thing too, the communication that often, even when it starts by the dating, that we don't like to communicate or indicate at one point what type of person we are, and to see how you can come to a middle way. We just keep those things quiet to ourselves, and then for later on, when it gets too much for us, then we would might to want to blow up to the other person, but then it might be too late already. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And if you keep holding things back, if you're angry with your partner, it will just start to build. It will build and build, and you're just going to have this wall around yourself and a wall separating both of you in the relationship, and you're not going to have any communication after a while.
yeah, correct, correct. So based on that, how it is that we can build a positive relationship?
Wow, that sounds like a loaded question. there, there's so many aspects to having a positive relationship. In my book, I talk about like, what's necessary to be with someone that you're compatible with, that could potentially be your soulmate. So there's so many things that go into it. I don't even know where to begin. It all starts
Um,
it all starts with the first date. You have to talk and see if you click and get along, and then go from there.
yeah, yeah. That is true. It has too much aspect to be discussing, and for everybody indeed it is different. And so when we watch the internet with all what is going on, and people keep on saying that yes, when you go on dates you have to be careful, you have to watch out where you're going, who you're meeting. As women, how can we kind of like protect ourselves, even if it's a little bit, when we have to go on a date?
Okay, well, if it's in person, then and it's the first time you're meeting, it's from online, so you don't have any friends in common, then you have to just protect yourself by going in a public place and tell like one or two friends exactly where you're going, the person's name if you know his full name, and like as many details as possible to your friends, but still go and like meet in a public place. Don't get picked up by him. Like don't tell him where you live. Don't get in the car with him unless you want to, of course.
Mhm.
If you want to just like hook up for a one-night stand, then that's fine. But if you are serious about finding a committed partner, then just be smart about it. Don't give any personal information unless you trust him, and just keep it public and tell people where you're going.
Yeah, yeah. I think for us women that's indeed important, because we sometimes take it too light, that oh, we're just going to meet someone, it's in a public place, so yeah, we're not telling somebody else where we're going. But even when we are in the actual date, we don't think that okay, this doesn't feel right, so let me just try to say goodnight and then go back home. But we stay there, and yeah, yeah, we
Yeah, like people can become crazy if they like felt like they were in love with you and then they get really hurt. Like people are crazy. Like you never
yeah,
know who you're meeting.
mm,
Even people
correct.
you are friends with that you thought you knew well, like they can suddenly turn on you. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really scary to date because you don't know who
Yeah.
you're involved with.
Yes, yes. I can imagine that people listening to us, and listening to it can be scary to be dating, that they like, nah, then I better not even start thinking about dating or anything.
Well, yeah, of course it could be scary, but it could also be incredible. You could find your soulmate and live happily ever after and have an amazing life. So if don't give up. If you're struggling to date, don't give up just because it's possible that you could get hurt or be
Mhm.
scared. Because
Yeah.
just date in a smart way where you protect yourself and keep at it, because you will find the person for you if you keep
Yeah.
trying.
Correct, correct. And then even if we don't find someone, we still have to be happy that we might have got to know someone as a friend, or we just put our effort out there. So we don't have to think that yes, we have to find someone because otherwise we're going to be alone. We all have to learn that sometimes being alone is good too.
Yeah. Yeah, like being alone could be a blessing in disguise, because then you get to focus on yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
before you can be happy with someone else, you have to be happy with yourself anyway.
Yeah.
So learn to love yourself. Try some new hobbies that you
Mm-hmm.
always put aside. Just
Yes.
have your best life. And then once you do that, once you start joining different groups and doing your hobbies, you'll find someone in one of those places, maybe, or the
Correct.
person, or you'll meet friends who have someone for you. So you
Yeah.
just put yourself out there and you will find someone.
Yes. And then at the same time, you will have topics to talk about as well because you went to try out a new hobby. So you can be talking about that as a topic.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many methods to find someone.
um,
Also, with the pandemic in the past year, because people aren't going out in person to meet anymore, there's so many different virtual groups that have been created. Like tons of different Facebook groups with all different interests and locations. So if you have some kind of specialty or hobby, you can probably find a group for it on Facebook, and maybe you'll find someone that you connect with there.
yes. Yes. That's true. That's true because every week you just see a new group pop up. And then, yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't even have to go out. Just sit in your room, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, now Clubhouse has become popular too.
Yes, indeed, indeed. That is true. When we're talking about, let's say the negative side, you have toxic relationship as well. How can we recognize if somebody might, yeah, that we might end up in a toxic relationship?
Well, you have to just, again, you have to like know yourself and pay attention to all the signs that the other person might be giving, because maybe they're like putting you down, or they sometimes blow up in anger, or they just do something where you get like a bad feeling about it. If you keep pushing aside your bad feelings that something's not right, then you could end up in a toxic relationship. So you just have to notice them, like just like pay attention to the person and see if there's anything that seems off, and try to have an open discussion about it as soon as possible to see if this could become a problem.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very, very important. In everything, and no, in majority of the things that you're saying, I'm hearing that it's very important that the communication that you keep on communicating with the other one, but especially to know yourself and to know what you accept and what you don't accept for even the dating to be a success for it to turn into a relationship. So knowing yourself is very important.
Yeah, and going along with knowing yourself, you have to figure out what your relationship requirements are. So you have to decide for yourself. Do you want kids or not? Do you want to live in a specific location? Like, what kind of life do you want to lead? And try to and tell the person early on in dating to make sure you're on the same page.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Correct. Correct. So when we your book, where people can find your book?
Yeah, so here's the book again, Date to Find Your Soulmate. It's on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get it on your Kindle, like as an ebook, or you can get the paperback or the hardcover also. There are a lot of different methods, so look for it on Amazon, and I think it's a really fun read. Everyone that read it said it was educational and entertaining, and most people finished it in one day because even though there are 176 pages, it's
Uh-huh.
a very quick read because it's I tell a lot of stories mixed in with all
Mhm.
the lessons, and it's just fun to read.
Nice, nice. Um, do you have any tips or advice for people that wants to start dating, and especially during these times?
Yeah, if you have done the work on yourself and you feel like you're ready, like you don't have anything holding you back, you're not mourning over the loss of an ex, and you know who you are and what you want, then put yourself out there. Join
Mm-hmm.
Facebook groups, join dating apps, get some really nice pictures of yourself to post on there because people don't even read the bios anymore. They just care about the pictures. So make sure you have nice pictures that are up to date. Tell your friends or ask your friends if they have anyone for you, and just go like every method you can think of. Just like really, because you're selling yourself. This is like
Mm-hmm.
could become a full-time job to find a partner. So whenever you have free time, like ask around and talk to people and just try to find someone, and eventually you'll click with someone and you'll find someone that fits your puzzle. Like there's a
Yeah.
missing puzzle piece for everyone.
Yes. Is there any tip that you can give when it comes to because you said about the picture to present yourself on the best way that you can? Is there a tip that you can give when it comes to taking the pictures?
Yeah, actually, I talk about that in my book also. If you're unsure about your pictures, look up online. Like there are a lot of different websites. I actually wrote a blog about it too. Like it's important to have good pictures. So they should be recent. They should show you smiling and happy, wearing like a nice form-fitting outfit. You should have one that's just like like just your face, and then one that's your whole body. But make sure that none of the pictures are blurry or far away, and don't have group shots because then people won't even know which one you are. There are a lot of different rules to follow. So if you're unsure, you can look online to find some other ideas.
Nice, nice. And of course, also in your book, right?
Yeah, I talk about it in my book too.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to tell us when it comes to the dating, finding soulmates as a closing? Something that you find is important for us to know?
Let's see. It's very important to be compatible with your partner. So don't settle on your values, and know who you are and what you want in life and in love. And if you put yourself out there, you will eventually find what you want.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we have to put in the effort, like you said, so we can find someone. Otherwise, they will not always just come and walk to you.
Yes.
Well, Rachel, thank you so much for your time and for talking with us about dating and your soulmate and what are some tips and techniques that we have to keep in mind when it comes to the dating. It was very informative.
Good. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And again, to the listeners, if you have more questions, you can look at my website, lovelaughleisure.com, or you can send me an email, rachel@lovelaughleisure.com.
Yes, nice. But thank you, and thank you, Mindful Elevation viewers. Thank you that you were present with us and that you found it interesting as well. And then I will see you next time. And then, Rachel, thank you again very much.
Thank you.